Morning, everybody. Thanks very much to the NBE for hosting this and for inviting us all on behalf of Deb and I. I want to make a couple of points, but begin with this. Deb Gramiccioni and I just joined the NBE for 2014. I'm literally in Deb's debt. We both filled out the application. Deb had her act together and had a check. I didn't. And she paid for both of us. I want to assure the Inspector General that I will pay her back. That was Joe Dunn from the Peanut Gallery. I want to make a couple of points. One is the role of transportation in the civil rights movement. I'm just going to touch on a couple of the historical notes. One is Rosa Parks, known to everybody in this room, right? The Montgomery bus boycott. December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks, on a public bus facility in Montgomery, Alabama, refused to give up her seat, and that led to a boycott in Montgomery, Alabama that had national implications and was a major milestone in the civil rights movement. Importance of public transportation in the civil rights movement. Second, a leading African-American labor leader, A. Philip Randolph, formed the first predominantly black labor union. Red Caps, the men, primarily men back then, African-American men, who helped railroad passengers with their baggage. A. Philip Randolph is especially noteworthy because he organized two marches on Washington. One during the administration of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and the other, of course, the March on Washington in the early 60s. Extraordinary people, but just touching on the role that public transportation has had with respect to the civil rights movement in this country. I want to make three points briefly. One is the Port Authority has been in the news a great deal recently. And I know that it's distressing, the news has been as distressing to you as it is to me and the entire Port Authority family. The point I want to make is that the news that's been reported is not reflective in any way of the values of the Port Authority, its employees, or anybody in this room. And I think the values of the Port Authority are reflected in things like this. One of Steve Kingsbury's employees on PATH recovered a lost wallet, had credit cards and a not insignificant amount of money in it. That employee did the right thing, returned the wallet, and was ultimately returned to its rightful owner. Those are the values of the Port Authority. The Port Authority, absolutely, give it up for PATH. The Port Authority Police Department, I spoke at a graduation last week of the 112th class. Port Authority Police Department in the last 12 months has saved about 100 lives. That includes 60 in Jersey City and Hoboken in the hours immediately after Superstorm Sandy. It includes a significant number of emotionally disturbed people, primarily who wanted to do damage themselves on the George Washington Bridge. Port Authority police working in bridges and tunnels stopped that. That's reflective of the values of the Port Authority. Jerry McCarty and his colleagues at Office of Emergency Management played a significant role in restoring this region and the Port Authority's transportation infrastructure following Sandy. That's reflective of the values of the Port Authority. Our colleagues at Aviation every day go above and beyond the call of duty with respect to the 100 million, an extraordinary number of passengers that come through our airports. The level of service they provide is reflective of the values of the Port Authority. Two more examples. The World Trade Center regularly sponsors visits by wounded warriors who've been injured significantly in Iraq or Afghanistan. And they move heaven and earth to make sure that those wounded warriors can get access to one World Trade Center and the entire World Trade Center site. That's reflective of the values of the Port Authority. And then Office of Inspector General, I'm going to talk about them in a second. Actually, I noticed that a couple of the waiters in the room appear to be undercover IG folks. So I may be wrong, but I'm going to talk about the role of the IG in just a second. Second point I want to make is the following. There are about 17,000 men and women who work at our airports. They're not employees of the Port Authority, they're not employees of the airlines, they're contractors and vendors. They don't have Martin Luther King Day off as a paid holiday. Everybody in this room does. Every state employee in the state of New Jersey, every state employee in the state of New York, and frankly, it's federal holiday, and it's typical to have it off as a paid holiday. And it's a day that many of us are going to enjoy as a day off on Monday, or if we work, we'll be paid overtime or whatever our contracts provide. It's unacceptable that there are 17,000 men and women working hard, long days, and they don't have Martin Luther King off as a paid holiday. We're going to do everything we can to work with our airline partners and other stakeholders at the airports to make sure those 17,000 men and women have Martin Luther King off as a paid holiday. Lastly, I want to talk about the IG in a serious way and its contribution. Governors Cuomo and Christie are committed to MWBE goals to make sure that there's equal opportunity for contracting at New Jersey facilities, New Jersey projects, New York facilities, and the same is true of the Port Authority. And both Governor Cuomo and Christie have aggressive goals for MWBE contracting. What role does the IG play? Well, I'm proud to announce that the IG several months ago, working with the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, the federal prosecutor for Manhattan, arrested a leading contractor for MWBE fraud. I'm not going to get into the details, but this contractor was phoning up the MWBE certifications and actually was not awarding the work as a company certified to legitimate MWBE contractors. That's totally inappropriate, it's illegal, it's wrong. The IG, working with the U.S. Attorney, brought that to an end, and that's the right thing to do. The significant goals that Governors Cuomo and Christie have for MWBE contracting, there's no reason the Port Authority, and the Port Authority's record on this is extraordinary. For instance, at the World Trade Center, legitimately $1 billion with a B of MWBE contract awards have been made. Given the level of construction in this city, in this region, New York and New Jersey, MWBE contractors of all types, including women-owned businesses, are entitled to participate and compete on a level playing field. What happened with that contractor who's been arrested at the World Trade Center by our IG working with the U.S. Attorney is unacceptable. The point I wanted to make before turning it over to Deb is that the actions that we've all been reading about aren't reflective of the values of the Port Authority. The values of the Port Authority are reflected in the work that you all do and your colleagues do every day. Thanks for inviting me. Enjoy the day.
You do great work. I don't think this region would really survive without our work. And especially aviation. And now we will have remarks from Deborah Gramiccioni.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speaks about trust, love, and faith. This morning, just very briefly, I'd like to focus on trust and the importance of trust, how important it is to have trust in our daily lives. We need to be able to trust one another, to have faith in one another as co-workers and human beings. We are, as Pat said, we're in the business of trust. It is the cornerstone of our business at the Port Authority. Every person who walks into one of our airports, drives through one of our tunnels, or steps on one of our PATH trains, they are putting their trust in us. Again, it's the cornerstone of our business. And it has been said that trust takes years to earn and seconds to lose. When you let people down, when a coworker lets people down, it tests your faith. So when a few people do callous and disgraceful things, and again, everybody knows what we're talking about if you've even read one paper in recent weeks, well, that certainly tests your faith, and it should, because it hurts all of us in this great agency. But look around you, please. The greatness of many eclipses the stupidity of one or two. Small petty acts do not define this agency. You do. This agency is built on you and people's trust in you, which is why this agency will absolutely survive the stupidity of one or two. Again. It is the people's trust in all of you, and it's that trust that makes the Port Authority thrive. Without trust, things stagnate. Progress halts, nothing moves. It is very hard to have trust after trust is shattered. It's hard for me too. But in honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I look to his teachings, his strength, and his resolve. And I try to have faith, and I try to move forward. And I would be honored if you would give me the chance to earn your trust. It will be the most important thing I can do in this job. Thank you so much for having me.